Hello, and welcome back to the Visual Center. If you've ever tried to photograph your own artwork, you may have found it to be a little bit tricky. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the 4 major factors to consider when photographing artwork. There is an actual method and technique to creating reproductions of artwork. If you're an artist, there are photographers you can hire to do copywork. Now this video will be focused on the techniques and methods that'll get you the highest quality reproduction. However, there are several methods to doing copywork, from using copy stands to using a window in the floor. So what are the 4 major factors to consider when doing copywork? We have lighting, glare, distortion, and color. For copywork, you want to have nice, even lighting across the artwork. And the best way to achieve this is to use 2 lights, evenly spaced and equidistant from the artwork. This will ensure that one side of the artwork is not lighter or darker than the other. Glare is a really important factor in copywork, and you want to eliminate it as much as possible. And that starts with having a controlled environment. You want to pick a location where you can control the light as much as possible. And another way to reduce glare is to make sure that the 2 lights you're using are coming in at a 45-degree angle to the artwork, and that'll reduce glare on the surface. Distortion can happen in a couple of ways, and the first is what we call barrel distortion. This happens when your subject is too close to the lens, and the outer edges of your subject become distorted and warped. Most of the time this happens with wide-angle lenses, and if that's all you have, what you want to do is move the camera back further and put the artwork in the center of the frame, because most of the distortion is going to happen on the outside edges. But ideally, what you want to use is a more telephoto lens. Anything from the 70 to 125 range would work great. Another type of distortion is called keystoning. This happens when the camera is not parallel to the artwork. The more off they are, the wider one side of the artwork will seem than the other. So making sure the camera and the artwork are as parallel as possible will prevent this issue. When reproducing artwork, you want to make sure the color matches as close as possible to the original. And there are several things that go into accomplishing this. First, you want to make sure that the 2 light sources you're using are the exact same kind of light source. This will ensure that the color temperature in each light source are the same. Next, you'll want to set your camera's white balance to match that light source. Additionally, if you use a color checker, you can further improve your color accuracy. Now that we know what potential problems to solve, let's jump into the copywork process. First, you'll need some artwork. I'll be using this piece from a friend of mine, a very talented illustrator, painter, and educator, Beth Ann Anderson. Let's get set up. Remember, we need to solve for lighting, glare, distortion, and color. To get even lighting, I'm using 2 studio strobes placed on either side of the artwork. Beth Ann's piece has a very glossy surface, and to avoid glare, I'm placing the lights roughly at a 45-degree angle. The angle should eliminate any glare on the surface of the piece. The piece is on a panel with no hardware for hanging, so I'll be leaning it on this drafting table. You might notice that the drafting table is green, and I didn't want that green to cast any color onto the painting, so I wrapped it in white paper. Ideally, if you can mount or hang the piece you're photographing flat on a wall, it will be easier to align the camera. So to fix any keystoning, I just need to make sure my camera is parallel with the painting. It might be difficult to get it perfect, so you'll need to make some adjustments in post-production. But the closer you can get it in camera, the better the image quality will be. To help with the distortion, I'm using a 70mm focal length. As I'm using strobes, I'll set my white balance to flash. It's also important that I'm using the same make and model of strobe to ensure even color temperature as well. One way to ensure you have even lighting is to use a light meter. If you use the light meter and measure each corner of the piece, you should get the same reading. If you don't, you just need to adjust your lights until you do. As far as settings go, I'll be setting my ISO to 100 to avoid digital noise. and I'll set my shutter speed to my strobe's sync speed. And for aperture, you'll want to research at which f-stop your lens is at its sharpest. For most of them, it's around f5.6 or f8. Mine is f8, so I'll set it to that. And finally, to improve color accuracy, I'm going to use a color checker. I'm now ready to start taking pictures. To make sure my images are truly sharp, I'll be tethering to Lightroom. This will let me zoom in to check the focus. If you don't have Lightroom or Capture One, a good free alternative is called Sofort Build. Because in copy work there's so much preparation beforehand, it really only requires a couple of shots once you have everything dialed in. Now that I have the images, it's time to edit them. And in a previous video, I showed you how to photograph art in a studio setting. Today, I'm going to show you how to photograph art using a copy stand. So what is a copy stand? A copy stand is an apparatus used to solve for the four major factors in photographing art that I talked about in my previous video: lighting, distortion, glare, and color. So if we take a look at the parts of a copy stand, we can see how it was designed to solve for these factors. Photographing art requires even lighting, so the stand has two arms with lights attached that extend at about 45 degrees from the platform. This will ensure even light across the piece. The lights are a little adjustable to help fine-tune your lighting. These same features will also help to reduce glare, and although copy stands can be large and relatively bulky, they aren't too heavy, so getting it set up in a space where you can control the ambient light should prove pretty easy. The right angle of the camera mount places the camera parallel with the platform and artwork. This helps solve for distortion, particularly keystoning. The raising of the mount head can allow you to use a longer focal length, which will reduce barrel distortion. When talking about glare, it's important to think about the surface of the painting as well as the medium used. Most mediums have a relatively matte surface, so the 45-degree lighting solves for this issue. But things like oil paintings can be tricky. Because of the nature of the medium, the surface of the painting is not flat, and so instead of dealing with one flat surface, you're dealing with multiple surfaces at varying angles. This can cause specular highlighting throughout the painting. A way to solve for this is to use polarizing filters. These are transparencies you place over the lights that are designed to reduce specular highlighting. You can also get a polarizing filter for your camera. This particular one is called a circular polarizing filter, which, when attached, allows you to rotate the ring to change the intensity of the effect. The fourth factor, color, would be solved by selecting a white balance that matches the lighting sources, and then you can adjust it in post-production. So let me show you how to use the copy stand. We start by mounting the camera. On this model, the head has a plate that extends to help center the image, but is also helpful for mounting. Once it's mounted, it's also helpful to get a spirit level to make sure your camera is level and parallel to the platform. Then you can raise the head to the height you need. Like I mentioned before, I like to use a longer focal length, so I like to raise it up a little higher. A lot of platforms will have markings to help you align the artwork, but they can also be used to center your camera. For this, it's helpful to have an LCD that can flip out. Otherwise, consider placing the copy stand on the floor to help get a better view. I'm going to turn on my camera's grid display and align that with the center markings. Once the camera is level and centered, place the artwork on the platform and center it in your camera's frame. Today I'm using a painting from my very talented wife, painter-photographer Sarah Sanchez. As far as settings go, you'll want to find out what f-stop is sharpest for your lens. For most lenses, it'll be f8, like the one I'm using, but you'll want to look up what your lens's sweet spot is. For the other exposure settings, it's a good idea to use a light meter. Now, just set your white balance and make sure your camera is focused, and then take some pictures. Now, copy stands can be very convenient and helpful in photographing art, but they can get a little pricey. But if you're handy with tools, there are a lot of instructions online on how to build your own.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. Here at the Visual Center, we don't just talk about making stunning images, we help you create them as well. If you're looking to turn your digital masterpieces into gallery quality prints, we've got you covered. Just go to thevisualcenter.com and check out our fine art printing services. Our team of experts will work with you to ensure that every print is a true reflection of your creative vision. So why let your art stay digital? Print it, frame it, and let it shine. Visit thevisualcenter.com today and take the next step in your photographic journey.